Today we're talking about the Nintendo Gamecube. There are so many great games for this console, so let me know yours in that comment box below. This quite simply has to be the best futuristic racing game ever made. It was brought to us by the great minds of Sega in conjunction with Nintendo and was released into the arcades under the different title of F-Zero AX. Now the premise of F-Zero is simple. You hop into your racing ship and fly around tracks at insane speeds. I mean, you literally blink and you're fucked. Because of this, the game has managed to acquire a reputation for its crushing difficulty. But if you're up for the challenge, you will find a highly rewarding story mode, as well as time attack and various others that will keep you busy for quite some time. As with most Nintendo consoles, the company has had a hard time shaking the notion that their machines are specifically designed for children. And it's not hard to subscribe to this idea, as Nintendo have consistently released family-friendly titles since the NES days. But during the GameCube era, Nintendo secured many titles in order to shake this image, with Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes being one of them. This is one of my favourite games for the machine. As fans of the show will know, I absolutely adore the MGS franchise, so when the news hit about a remake coming to the GameCube, I completely lost my shit. Twin Snakes brings with it a remarkable graphical upgrade, as well as several mechanics from MGS2, including the ability to shoot in first person mode, as well as being able to hang off ledges in order to avoid detection. Along with the various graphical and gameplay updates, there were also several changes made to the game's cutscenes, instead being handled by famed Japanese director Ryuhei Kitamura. These changes didn't go down too well with loyal MGS fans, and I agree with their concerns. Regardless of these issues, when it comes to stealth action on the Nintendo GameCube, you'll be hard pressed to find anything that tops Twin Snakes. Many were disappointed when the GameCube launched without a Mario title. Instead, Nintendo handed the reins to Luigi in order to show off what the system was capable of. Trading in his jumping shoes for a Hoover that would clearly make Dyson jealous, the game sees you sucking up ghosts that inhabit a mysterious mansion that Mario has managed to lose himself in. Throughout the game, you are aided by a character known as Alvin Gadd, the person who invented the Poltergeist 3000 Hoover. He will pop up on your trusty Game Boy Horror to fill you in on your objective, as well as the ghosts you will encounter. This was the first game I picked up for the console, and I love it. But if you don't feel like going back, the sequel is being released for the Nintendo 3DS, so check out that version. As part of an exclusive deal with Capcom that saw the developer bring over key titles to the GameCube, Piano 3 is one of those games that unfortunately hit under the radar. I myself love this game and would defend it to the hills. It's hard to describe other than a rhythmic shooter that sees you busting moves whilst taking out enemies in style. You play as Vanessa, a freelance mercenary who works on colonized planets. She is contracted by a mysterious client to destroy the robots populated throughout the world. Story-wise, it is surprisingly good, with a few twists and turns that will keep you guessing. The gorgeous, clean graphics captivated my attention long before the release and delivered upon my expectations. If you're a fan of Devil May Cry or possibly even Vanquish, I would say that you would enjoy this one. Resident Evil 4 was a clear turning point in the series, abandoning the pre-rendered goodness of the previous titles for a more realistic and fluid real-time environment. But that's not all that changed. The gameplay was deeply revised and saw the birth of the popular over-the-shoulder shooter genre that has admittedly become a little populated these days. The story picks up after the events of the second game, following Leon Kennedy, who is now responsible for the safety of the president's daughter. She managed to get kidnapped by a mysterious cult known only as Los Iluminados. Throughout the game, you can expect the usual Resident Evil craziness, including characters that just won't die, grotesque giant trolls, and insane high-pitched midgets. But all joking aside, Resident Evil 4 is a really solid game and a testament to Nintendo's commitment to shake that childish image. Appearing on the console at launch, Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 delivered what I can only describe as a premier Star Wars experience. Everything about the game felt alive and true to the original source material. The game truly is a testament to the power of the machine, and the fact it appeared at the launch is further testament to the talent of the development team behind it. As mentioned, the game recreates various moments of the entire trilogy, so expect a wide variety of locations as well as mission types. Early on, you are restricted to what type of craft you can use for each mission, but as you complete each level, you are given the option to go back and choose from any craft you have available. If you're a Star Wars fan, this one is a no-brainer. A technical marvel at the time of release, Eternal Darkness is one of the most innovative games in the horror genre that deserves your time. There are so many great things to say about the game. The story is presented in such an eerie manner, with incredible music and great voice acting only adding to the tension as you make it through the game's many locations. The game centers around a gameplay concept known as the sanity meter, a green bar that is present on the screen that can be depleted due to various factors but also restored by completing in-game actions. If the player lets the bar run down, that's when strange shit starts to happen. Distant cries, whispers, distorted camera angles. Yeah, seriously, some strange fucking shit. If you're a fan of the horror genre, this one will be right up your alley. Released in 2002, Metroid Prime brought the series into the first-person perspective, and as you can imagine, many were skeptical as to how the transition would turn out. Up to this point, the series was well known for its side-scrolling action, and had become one of Nintendo's much-beloved franchises. Retro Studios had a lot to prove, and they delivered in every way possible. The game largely takes place on a planet known as Talon 4, formerly inhabited by a race known as the Chozo. Throughout the adventure, you will encounter many different enemies, as well as some of the best boss fights you will find on the Gamecube. The controls are responsive and go a long way to enhance the fluid combat and exploration found in the game. If you're a first-person shooter fan, this is a great title for you to play. Hopes were high that Mario could deliver after his absence at the Gamecube's launch, and for all intents and purposes he did. Super Mario Sunshine was the first 3D Mario to arrive after 64, so you can imagine the type of pressure that was on the title to perform. Now, I tend to liken this game to Marmite. You either love it or you hate it. Many fans were not at all pleased with the new flood mechanic that saw you squirting around the game's environment using the power of water. But I got it. Mario's a fucking plumber, so it totally made sense for him to do this, right? The game takes place on the tropical Isle Delfino, where Mario, Toad and Princess Peach are on holiday. They learn of a local villain vandalizing the area who is known as Shadow Mario. Unfortunately, due to his appearance, Mario has to take the rap for the vandalism, and is handed the flood to clean up the mess. Regardless of whether or not you're a fan of the flood system, you cannot deny that Sunshine is a solid Mario game. With all the platforming goodness and challenge present, there is no other platformer on the console that can even stand close. Wind Waker is by far my favourite Zelda game, and I know this stance will probably get me some hate, but this game holds a special place in my heart. For many reasons, upon being revealed to the public, there was much backlash pointed towards the game, mainly due to the cel-shaded style of the game's graphics. And trust me, I get it. I mean, here we have the next game in the franchise presenting itself in an entirely different manner than what we've been used to in the past, but it just worked for me. Wind Waker picks up after the events of Ocarina and depicts a Hyrule that has succumbed to a great flood. The kingdom has been transformed into a great sea populated by various islands, and it's your job to sail the seas in hopes of bringing down the evil forces behind the sinister events that have occurred. In usual Zelda fashion, you will find yourself exploring the various locations found throughout the game, whilst acquiring many new items that will aid you in your quest. This story will take you through some surprising turns as you unravel the mysteries that make up the plot. And if Wind Waker is not your cup of tea, you can always try out Twilight Princess, which is also a fantastic adventure that is definitely worth your time. Well, that was it guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this in the future. I will see you next time.